Welcome back to the Baal Sulam's Matan Torah by the Baal Sulam, with commentary by Rabbi Abraham Mordechai Gottlieb. I'll be referring to as the Rebbe Shlita. We're in the middle of page 86. We're still in section 12, which is quite a long section, but we're getting there. We're also easing towards the end of the actual essay of Matan Torah, and then we'll see where we go from there. Let's jump in. The Baal Sulam begins. The more we continue to grow, the more we receive from our environment partial lessons of giving to the other. And this certainly depends on the values of development promoted in that environment. At this stage also begins our initiation in observing Torah and mitzvot out of self-love, that is, for reward in this world and the world to come. This form of education is called, quote, not for its own sake, or in Hebrew, lo lishma. And it is employed because it is not possible at first to accustom ourselves to keeping Torah and mitzvot in any other way. There's no skipping steps. The Baal Sulam says beautifully that the more levels there are, the easier it is to climb. Let's say the ladder has 125 degrees. So if it has 125 steps that are only a foot large, it's going to be relatively easy to climb. There's only 5 steps, and it's very high. You might need a jetpack or something of the like. Not so pashut, not so obvious to accomplish. So it's a chesed, it's loving kindness that our inner work and our journey is so incredibly detailed, and there's so many nuances and, thank goodness, steps, which makes it easier for us to climb. I'm going to read that again inside with the Rebbe Shlita's commentary. The more we continue to grow, the more we receive from our environment partial lessons of giving to the other. And this certainly depends on the values of development promoted in that environment. The Rebbe Shlita says, environment means whatever nourishes us. And this includes books, teachers, society, and culture. So I'd like to comment on that that's such, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen and been exposed to, a novelty of an idea that our environment is by definition anything that is influencing us, any type of information that we're consuming. And most importantly, these basic ideas of even books and teachers, even books, like our friends can be our books. It's an amazing idea. We've spoken about it plenty in this class so far. The idea of wanting to connect to true teachers and books. Because in essence, all true wisdom that we connect to are connecting to the Creator and His light. It would make sense logically that if we were to spend our time and energy, that we would want to be most efficient. So we want to connect to the light that is of the greatest amplitude, of the greatest brightness. We want to connect to a teacher that is closest, if not already there, in terms of similarity of form to the Creator, Dveikus, Dveikut, as we've spoken about. So, when we connect to those books, when we read those holy words, we envelop our consciousness with their consciousness. There's an intermingling of their essence and our essence when we read their works. How much more so when we read something like the Holy Torah itself and envelop our consciousness and mind with the very thoughts and essence of the Creator. Mind-boggling. And culture. Unfortunately, in today's world and society, it's very difficult to come across a beautiful culture of built societies that truly exemplify peace and togetherness and love and all the ideas that we're talking about. Perhaps they exist and to a great degree, and no society is perfect, that's for sure. But relative to the consciousness of Eretz Yisrael, the Holy Land, nothing can compare. Interestingly, in contrast, the Holy Land is filled with nothing but confusion and issues on all levels, from all parties, religious, not religious, you name it. In all details, there's levels of confusion, baseless hatred, and the like. And there's certainly pockets of connection, love, and unity, and great goodness. Thank God. But the land itself is a physical branch. It's a representation of the upper spiritual reality that is Yisrael. That's Yashar Kale, straight to God. Not only this quality of character, as we've spoken about, but also a higher dimension in the upper world. Eretz Yisrael is the greatest manifestation of a spirituality on this physical planet. So it makes sense, one that wanted to desire, one that wanted to be on the path of truth, would plant themselves, as difficult as it could be, in the Holy Land, because it would be most conducive to their spiritual growth. And they could connect to the greatest teachers, hopefully, in order to accomplish that. And I mean no offense to any other country or any other place outside of the Holy Land. There are great pockets and great communities, surely. But in essence, how can we compare? Really? I digress. Just my opinion, but something to meditate on. Rabbi Shita continues, we are social creatures, and just as when a kettle is put on the fire, it has no choice but to boil. So we cannot decide not to be affected by the ideas and values of the particular society with which we are associated, just as one can choose healthier food. So in spirituality, we must carefully select our cultural environment. A society built on what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine, as brought down in chapters of the Fathers, 510, or Pirkei Avos, Ethics of the Fathers, will breed thieves. Unfortunately, there's many of societies that align with this consciousness. Members of a society founded on what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours tend to value material possessions. Also quite common, unfortunately. We can gradually begin to develop spiritually when we put ourselves in a community whose ideal is what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours. And that is Yisrael. That is Yashar Kil. That is the manifestation of altruism, meaning what's mine is totally yours, and what you have in your domain is also within your domain. It's altruism, it's giving. It's a matter of being free and not holding on to particular materialism and the like. A community is not just a collection of people that happen to get together for the necessity of communal prayer or work or other social activities. In a true community, there is an interconnection between its members that is created when each member recognizes the greatness and significance of the others and therefore chooses to connect with them. As we've spoken about in a prior class, we can put this into practice with our friends in both thoughts, speech, and action. We have to think good thoughts about our friends. We have to speak with them as if they are very important people. If anything, the most important people in the world. Why not employ such consciousness and attempt to treat others with the greatest of magnitude? Because the truth is, the entirety of the Creator's glory is within each and every person, because spirituality does not divide. So to contemplate that a single soul is still infinite and expansive is something that should put us in awe, but it's so difficult to apply practically. And finally, doing things to benefit them. Actually, what do they want? What do they desire? And by practicing these three things in thoughts, speech, and action, we slowly but surely accommodate ourselves to such consciousness, to such altruistic habits. And this is going to be logically most conducive in a corrected society. That at the very least, hopefully we connect to one that desires to do such a thing. Such a community can gradually create an atmosphere of closeness and devotion, according to the teaching, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. It's all too often in today's Jewish communities, at least, that the notion of a community is just as the Rebbe Shita here explained, that people get together for a minyan. They congregate for the sake of saying particular inserts for prayer, and then they go on their way. But it should be much deeper than that. Any type of relationship with another, whether it be man and wife, or man and his community, man and his rabbi, so on and so forth, there's a single vessel that an individual is building with, either that other one individual or a collective. So to actually grow together as a single unit, as a single vessel, as a kli to receive the Creator's light, is incomprehensibly more conducive to our spiritual growth relative to a simple coming and going in order to pray, maybe sometimes to learn. But what we're speaking about here is a bit deeper than that. And there's lots of written about it in the Ashlag Torah, by the Rebbe Zitzal and the Baal Sulam, and the Rebbe Shita as well. It's very worth connecting to it and looking into it deeper in hopes that we can connect to better communities and better friends, so on and so forth. It says in Devarim 2019, Ki Hadam Eitz Hasadeh, that for man is a tree of the field. What does that mean? Man is like a tree. Man is nurtured by water, like a tree. Water corresponds to Torah, this quality of giving, this quality that refines ourselves and brings us this higher nature of connecting to the Creator. Water is also corresponding to chesed, to loving kindness, the overflowing nature. Trees also grow towards the light, like most plant forms. So too, we are branches that want to be like our root, and we grow towards the light. We want to grow towards the Creator and climb up the ladder. We bear fruit that multiplies and nourishes others. Others can come and be nourished by our fruit. A practical case would be a spiritual leader that bears very sweet fruit and great wisdom that anyone who wants to read their books or connect to them even in person will go to said tree and take part in the nutrients. If we are strengthened and healthy, people may be protected by our shade, our leaves and our branches being thick and strong, also alluding to all of these metaphors of connecting and being nourished by Torah and the Creator's light. With this said, how important is it to be planted in the most conducive environment for our spiritual health and growth? As we are all trees of life, we're all made in the image of the Creator and are representing the Most High. It says in the introduction to the Zohar, it's an excerpt in the translation by Edita Cohen, Tapestry of the Soul. Bottom of page 202, on this idea. Therefore, one who makes the effort in his life and chooses each time a better environment is destined for improvement and reward. This is awarded to the person not by reason of his thoughts or good deeds, which come to him without his choice, but from the effort he made to find a good environment which brings him to these thoughts and deeds. Thus, Rabbi Yoshua ben Prachia said, quote, make for yourself a Rav, a teacher, acquire for yourself a friend, as said in Ethics of the Fathers, chapter 1, as we referenced also. Pirkei Avos. In essence, what this is saying is that our biggest free choice in life, our biggest point of bechira in Hebrew, choice, is our environment. The amount of Torah we can learn, the amount of mitzvahs we can take part in, the amount of good actions we can do for others is directly related to where we are. A simple example would be if we were stranded on an island, we wouldn't be able to do much in that regard. So our biggest free choice is to plant ourselves in the best place possible, again and again and again, until we get to the ideal scenario. We should merit to be able to do such a thing, God willing. And a quick note on this end quote from this excerpt about Rabbi Yoshua ben Prachia saying, make for yourself a Rav and acquire for yourself a friend. The Rabbi Shlita says in one of his amazing essays, the collection of essays being found in a particular series of books called Birkat Shalom. So it's a brown collection of books. It's in the bookstore. It can be found in the description. It's in Hebrew. Make for yourself a Rav, a teacher. One can understand that in the simple sense of find a teacher. Make yourself a teacher. Also make yourself into a teacher so that one can be teaching others. But the Rebbe Zitzal, Rebbe Baruch Shalom Halevi Ashlag Zitzal says, make for yourself a Rav. Who is the greatest Rav? Who is the real Rav? Rav in Hebrew is from the root of great, big. The Creator. The Creator is the Rav. So make for yourself a Rav, meaning put the Creator up in importance. Make the importance of the Creator a priority, as opposed to the importance of myself, serving myself and all my egoistic desires. No. Choose the Creator. Which means that's the point of also putting ourselves in the right environment. I want to put myself in the environment where others also want to increase the importance of the Creator. Acquire for yourself a friend. The language of acquire in Hebrew is also to buy. Koneh. This can be understood, the Rebbe Zitzal says also, who is the ultimate friend? Also, the Holy One, blessed be He, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator. How do we buy the Creator as a friend? By exchanging and selling our egoistic desires. By cutting off things that we really don't need. Let's say an environment that's not conducive to our spiritual growth and health, and sell it to the Creator. We make sacrifices that are difficult because we're stripping away our self-receiving desires and we're selling it, we're trading it to the Creator in order to put Him up in importance and build a relationship with Him. But this is all coming back to say that it would be done in such an environment. Again, may we all be zilch and all merit to connect to such an environment better and better and better, repeatedly, until we reach our desired goal of being one with the Creator. Till next time. Thank you so much. All the best.